Hello, my name is Ryan Giron, and for my project, I'm going to be talking about American photographer Annie Lee Bobbitt. So the quote that I chose to for my photographer, it does explain more about her character in photography as well as her styles and her ideas of photography. Annie really never cared about what her photographs looked like as long as she loved her ideas and as if they turn out okay, as long as she loved her photographs, as long as her subjects loved them, and of course, if everyone else loved her photographs as well. Annie really never wanted a formal prestige photo session. Her ideas for a photo session were more wacky and creative. She really didn't care what people said about her ideas as long as she just in general loved them. She really didn't care what people's feedback, and she really didn't want her subjects to pose very stiff when posing during the photo sessions. She just wanted them to feel relaxed and more comfortable with their bodies. To better explain more about Annie as a person, she was born in Waterbury, Connecticut on October 2nd, 1949. She is not dead, she's alive. She is the third of six children born from a former lieutenant and a former Jewish dance instructor. In 1967, where she started college, she enrolled in the San Francisco Art Institute, majoring in painting so she can use that major in pursuing a career of becoming an art teacher. During her second semester, Annie did take a workshop in photography and she immediately fell in love with photography. And after that workshop, she immediately changed her major right away to photography because her passion for painting quickly disappeared. During her photographic career later on, she met a woman named Susan Sontag, who was a former writer, and she later on became Annie's partner for 15 years until her sudden death. And even though her death was really sad, Susan encouraged Annie to be more engaged with photography and to never stop pursuing and engaging a career that she really enjoys. Her photographic career started during her photographic career started when her father was stationed in the Philippines during the Vietnam War, where she was working on her photography in a dark room that was for the military base. During the summer of her sophomore year, Annie and her mom traveled to Japan, where she purchased her very first camera ever, instead of sharing it or borrowing someone else's camera. Annie did take night classes in the Art Institute in San Francisco for photography, where she was mainly taught more about black and white photographs instead of light and dark color photographs. And during her night classes, she was learning more about the work of Henry Cartier-Bresson and Robert Frank, just because her work was more, just because her classes were more based on their work, and she immediately was influenced by those two photographers. In 1970, one of Annie's friends suggested to Annie that she should take her work that she had made so far and apply it and work for the magazine Rolling Stone. She applied for Rolling Stone, where she met the founder of Rolling Stone, Jane Winter, and Winter was really impressed with Annie's work and thus offered her a job after Annie graduated college. And 3 years after that, when Annie was only 23 years old, Annie became the chief photographer of Rolling Stone magazine. And 10 years after that, she decided to leave Rolling Stones in order to pursue the opportunity to become the chief photographer for Vanity Fair. Annie's photography was more celebrity portraits, like self portraits. They were, like I said, black and white. They really, like I said, also Annie really wanted to become more comfortable with her subjects, getting to know them as a person instead of a celebrity. So subjects such as Johnny Cash and Mick Jagger and Willie Nelson, she really got to know those people more, what they were like as a person instead of a celebrity, and she really brought their personalities into her photo sessions with them. And as you can tell by the photographs so far, they weren't really dressed formal. They were more dressed as casually, like here in Julian Schnabel. He was dressed in his PJs, and he really didn't care what they were dressed like as long as they felt comfortable with her, and vice versa. She felt comfortable with them during the photo session. And most of the photographs that she took were archival pigment prints. That excludes some, like here Muhammad Ali, which his print was a gelatin silver print. And he really wanted, like I said, be more comfortable with the subject and provided a more casual background, like a dark wall or people's homes or just a regular room. And later on, she did start to be more comfortable with color photography, and she used her own style of color photography using really bright, vibrant colors to her style, like the one here in Lady Gaga's portrait of her in the nude. And Lady Gaga and Annie, excuse me, really never did a lot of nudity, but in her photography. But the one that was well known was John Lennon and Yoko Ono's portrait. This portrait was really significant to Annie because it really was 3 days before John Lennon's assassination and really helped Annie on the mat. And this photograph was an archival pigment print, and it was took from a Polaroid. Annie did a lot of campaigns for companies such as Disney and Got Milk, like the one here with Jessica Chastain as Merida. Annie really wanted to promote people's campaigns as long as she gets to photograph subjects and celebrities. She really wanted to she wanted people to embrace photography in campaigns like the one here for Disney, which they were campaigning for the Year of a Million Dreams for Disney parks. Annie did do a lot of photography for the 1996 Olympics, like the one here with Dominique Oceano, who she was a former gymnast, and she was really really casual with her photographs during the Olympics. She really wanted people to look at the athletes more as a people, like I said, instead of athletes. And her subjects really did agree with being wacky and out of the ordinary instead of like a formal portrait like the one here in Sting. He's covered, I guess, with mud and he was naked. And as long as they were comfortable with Annie, then it was okay with them and being published with them as well. Annie's significance in photography, she was really more defined by her work than her personalities. Like I said, she wanted to do her things her way and her way only. She never looked back at other people's ideas, and she never looked back at people's criticism. She never followed any type of photography. She created her own style, which was expressing her subjects' personalities as people instead of what people view her subjects as. And she really wanted to get to know them as a person, got to really spend time with them more as a friend instead of a photographer before she was doing photo sessions with her subjects. Annie did change the way commercial images were viewed. Commercial images were more casual, while her point of view of her commercial images would be staged and dramatic to show people her style of commercial photography and to show um, high levels of creativity.